many of us, almost say all of us, suffer from what nowadays, it's a little bit of a fashionable word, but like many fashionable words, it has its use, traumatized. We have all suffered trauma in childhood. Now, what is trauma? Trauma is essentially the experience, an experience that is both painful and at the age and at the stage where it is experienced, it is incomprehensible. We simply cannot frame it, process it, digest it, or make sense of it. So it is swallowed in an undigested form. That is what it is to be traumatized. And as we know, and this is one of the great discoveries of 20th century psychotherapy, the only way in which trauma can be handled is if we go back and unpick it and understand it and thereby process it and let it and work a liberation from its effect, which we have not understood. You know, most mental troubles come from things that have not been properly looked at. Anxiety, for example, is worry that doesn't understand itself. Depression is sadness that has become unknown to us and therefore has bled across the whole of our lives. Irritability is rage that doesn't know its true target. You know, why when you open the drawer and you can't open it and you get into absolute fury, you start hitting the drawer and you go, where is the damn key? It's not just me, you do this too, we all do this too, right? And then you think, hang on a minute, it's not the drawer, is it? No, it's something else. Why am I in such a rage? And that terrible thing that we have to start to think, I'm not understanding myself. I'm diverting rage, which belongs in one place, and I'm kicking the dog, I'm kicking the drawer, I'm kicking the driver, whatever it is. Many of our emotions do not find their correct targets. And the reason is that their correct targets are extremely awkward to come to understand. It's really boring to have to think about your childhood. Many of us are 30, 40, 50 years, decades out of childhood, and still here I am telling you that it's all about your childhood. Well, that's extremely annoying, and I really sincerely apologize. But the only way to forget about your childhood is to go and explore it. We're not exploring childhood for the sake of nostalgia or because we love mummy and daddy or because it was such fun, but in order to get rid of the thing once and for all. You know, these ghosts of the mind tend to be ghosts that sprung on us in childhood. And without the courage to go back and look at them, we're unlikely to find the freedom, the calm, the creativity that we all seek. You know, childhood it took humanity an unbelievable length of time to recognize the role of childhood in adult development. I mean, you don't find any medieval person going, you know, the reason I lack confidence is my parents. You know, there's no ancient Greek who's on record explaining their behavior because of a parental shortfall of affection. It just doesn't exist. There is no record. You know, we have to wait until the 20th century before people speak in this way, which can, of course, lead us to a kind of suspicion. You know, are we moderns somehow uniquely pampered, obsessive in this area? I don't really think so. I mean, compare it to our discovery of certain kinds of bacteria. You know, it took until the late 19th century, until the age of Freud, to realize that at a bacterial level, there are things that inhabit jugs of water that on a bad day could kill the population of an entire city. That there are macrobiological organisms that you can't see with the naked eye that have the capacity to kill millions of people. And it's so implausible. And something akin to this goes on in relation to our own childhoods, where, again, slightly invisible processes are at play that have the capacity to fell adult lives in ways that are as destructive as a certain kind of poisoning. Part of the problem of human beings is they have such an inordinately long maturational process. A horse, a foal, is up and running in an afternoon. So if baby horses, mum and dad, are slightly strange or they are suffering from all sorts of things, doesn't really matter because they're often about within the afternoon. But we humans, we're at least 18, 19, 20, 25, until we can get away from these people. And these people are likely to be carrying all sorts of distorted patterns, which we learn with some of the same natural inevitability as we learn language. None of us learn our native language by sitting in a classroom and slowly taking it in. We simply imbibe it passively from the surrounding environment. While we're doing handstands in the garden, drawing buttercups at the kitchen table, we are learning languages that people are speaking around us. And it's not just languages in the grammatical sense. We are also learning at all times emotional languages. Who can we trust? What is a man? What is a woman? What am I? What is my worth? What will happen if I reach out and try and communicate with another person? All of these things, all of these conclusions, the language that we learn is being taken in all the time. And it becomes a very dense native language.